In this video, I'm going to take a look at an Askreddit post titled, "Why did that teacher get fired from your school?" If you enjoy listening to Reddit stories in a relaxing way, please like and subscribe. First comment. He wanted to date a teacher and she turned him down, so then he suspected that she was sleeping with a student. He then hired a private investigator and had her followed. She found out about it, went to the cops, requested a restraining order, and he was brought up on stalking charges. It was discovered that she was sleeping with the student. Reply. Reading first paragraph. Okay, dude's super creepy. I'm glad the female teacher was able to put a stop to it. Reads the last sentence. Oh. Next comment. Embezzled something like $20,000 from the school field trips she was in charge of scheduling for the whole school. All field trips that needed to be paid for, she planned and took the money for. Overcharged the students, but only deposited the amount for what the trip cost and kept the rest. Did it for decades and stole about $20,000 over time. Not only fired, but charged and found guilty. Not sure how much time she was given. Reply. It's always baffling when people embezzle such small amounts of money. $20,000, especially over a period of years, is hardly worth getting charged with a felony, which almost certainly will happen, especially when you're stealing from an institution where budgets and bookkeeping gets involved. I understand in most instances it starts with a small indiscretion and then balloons from there, but even petty theft hardly seems worth the consequences unless for some reason you desperately need the money for something immediately. Point is, kids, if you're going to steal, steal a lot and steal it quickly, or don't steal at all. Next comment. He was the gym teacher for over 30 years. He volunteered to stand near the trash cans during lunch every day to ensure the students dumped their food and gave their finished trays to the cafeteria workers in an organized way. He had done this for decades, even when my father attended that junior high. One day, a student decided to toss her entire tray in the trash instead of dumping the contents and giving it to the cafeteria worker. He removed the tray from the trash and gave it back to her. She threw a carton of chocolate milk at his face, close range. He responded by punching her in the eye. Reply. I would be pissed if someone threw a carton of chocolate milk at my face. He was obviously lactose intolerant. Next comment. History teacher never really taught history. Sometimes he'd just yell at the kids in class. It got worse when his son died in Desert Storm. Then he spent half the class time crying. Assistant principal had to take over one too many days. Eventually, he stopped coming to school and we never saw him again. The most awesome teacher I ever had was a history teacher, but totally awkward. He was sadly a drunk, but a funny one, and a great storyteller. The type that would wave a broomstick pretending he was in battle. One of his weird habits during all his awesome stories is he would be eating the chalk, just casually nibble from it out of his fist as if it were peanuts. There were situations, and I don't make this up, that he wanted to write something on the blackboard only to realize he ate all the chalk. Eating chalk makes sense if he was an alcoholic. Chalk is just calcium carbonate / Tums. He probably had alcohol-induced heartburn. Definitely not recommended if it was colored chalk, but it wasn't going to kill him or anything. And now y'all know why Tums tastes chalky. Its active ingredient is chalk. Next comment. Because he set up a camera in the middle school theater changing room. Girls' side. His dumbass was on the beginning of the video, turning the camera on and adjusting a modified shoebox he put over to hide it. A student found it and took it home. Watched it with parents. Goodbye, Mr. Goebel. Next comment. He was actually just a substitute. Left quicker than he arrived. He told our class he practices judo, so one student told him to show a move. The move he chose to demonstrate on this student in front of the class was a sleeper hold. Put that motherfucker right to sleep and got charged with assaulting a minor. One of my school's best teachers and my neighbor, Mr. K, ended up at our school because he practiced judo on a student. He was at a prestigious school in the city. Some chucklefuck threw a tantrum in class, and when I say tantrum, I mean a desk and several chairs. Mr. K disarmed him and pinned him to the wall until help arrived. Was promptly fired for preventing the other students from getting a desk to the face. Next comment. An ex grew up in a tiny nowhere town in Wyoming. One day, they got a long lunch recess and their teacher was walked out to a car with some people in suits and military clothes. It turns out he switched dog tags with someone killed in Vietnam, and the dead soldier's parents went to the military when their son didn't call or visit. He had hidden in one of the most isolated places in the US, and it took enough time for him to finish a degree and get a job. Ooh, this is a fun one. This happened in Germany where teachers are tenured, so it is really fucking hard to get fired as a teacher, but she still managed to achieve that. Well, Miss M was a failed artist gone art teacher. She projected her own non-existent success onto her students and had them participate in art contests non-stop. We hated those because we really didn't want our creativity to be exploited for the personal self-worth of a psychopathic witch with a drinking problem, so we started a little resistance. We had our parents apply pressure at parent-teacher conferences to stop her from doing the contests, and at the same time plain refused to have our work sent in. It devolved quickly, and she didn't take it well. One day, she was in a particularly bad mood and on some nonsensical rant about whatever, when a different art teacher knocked on the door and requested that his class may pass through her room to his room because his room's door lock was broken. Cue 25 students shuffling through the classroom in awkward silence while Miss M offloaded her frustrations on the other teacher who ignored her and left to his room. A couple minutes later, he stuck his head back through the door and requested to have another chair because he didn't have enough for his class. Miss M completely lost the tiny bit of sanity she had left and physically attacked him with a chair, like full on hitting him with the thing while screaming unintelligibly about him disturbing her precious teaching. He fled through her classroom because, you remember, his door was broken, and went straight to the headmaster, who came in and put her on disciplinary leave in front of the whole class. She was never seen again. Man, why is it always the art teacher? At the high school where my husband taught, they hired an art teacher who moved from New Orleans post-Katrina to our small town. Granted, she was a different bird, but that's okay, no big deal. Well, our yearly festival rolls around and she decides to participate as a performance artist. She made and wore a bikini out of round steak, set up a barbecue pit, and proceeded to take the bikini off piece by piece and grill it. She tried to serve it to the crowd, but got very few takers. The school administration found out and fired her. She left our town griping about how prudish we all were. Some of her students who saw her performance got the full Monty. Next comment, not someone who got fired, but someone who definitely should have. Our home ed teacher wasn't restocking our ingredients and forced students to eat rotten food. Now, I'm not talking about slightly expired food. She made us scrape off a completely black layer of carrots before using them and forced people to just cut the mold off from the potatoes. No one believed us until we got picture proof, and the school didn't start talking to her until we threatened to call the Food Safety Bureau in my country. She stopped forcing us to eat expired food, but she still works there to this day. Next comment. Gave a student written confirmation of the zero tolerance policy, highlighting that any two students involved in a fight would get the same punishment. Next time the kid got bullied, he fucking tore into the bully and started pounding him in the head with a trash bin lid. The written confirmation got used to successfully demand both students suffer the same consequences, especially after the student showed he had received confirmation that he wouldn't be punished more severely for fighting back. From that point, "Can I get that in writing?" was basically a get out of jail free card.